Welcome to the fascinating world of historic American coins. In this journey, we explore some of the most iconic Lincoln wheat pennies from the United States, coins that carry deep history, classic design, and strong collector interest. Each 1-cent piece reflects the nation's heritage, with powerful inscriptions like United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, Liberty, and In God We Trust. These coins are not just currency, but real historical artifacts that represent America's growth, struggles, and strength through different. The 1937 D Lincoln wheat cent is one of the most admired coins from the late 1930s because it represents an important period in American history when the United States was continuing its recovery from the Great Depression. This small copper coin, carrying the famous inscription United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, 1 cent, Liberty, and In God We Trust, was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark beneath the date. Although it was only worth 1 cent in everyday commerce, the 1937 D wheat penny became a lasting historical artifact that reflects the economic conditions, craftsmanship, and culture of America before World War II. Today, collectors around the world appreciate this coin not only for its beauty and collectability, but also for the fascinating story connected to its era. The obverse side of the 1937 D Lincoln wheat penny features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. Lincoln is shown facing right with a calm and thoughtful expression, symbolizing wisdom, strength, and leadership. Above the portrait appears the national motto, In God We Trust, while the word liberty is placed on the left side and the date 1937 appears on the right with a small D mint mark below it. This design was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, making it the first regular United States circulating coin to feature a real historical figure instead of a symbolic image. Americans quickly embraced the Lincoln cent because Lincoln was widely respected as a president who preserved the Union during the Civil War and abolished slavery. The reverse side of the 1937 D wheat penny displays the classic wheat ears design that gave the coin its famous nickname, the wheat cent. 2 large wheat stalks curve along both sides of the reverse, framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top appears a Latin phrase, E Pluribus Unum, which means out of many, one. The wheat stalks symbolize prosperity, agriculture, and the hard-working spirit of the American people. This reverse design remained in use from 1909 until 1958 and is still considered one of the most beautiful and nostalgic designs in American coin history. The Denver Mint, where the 1937 D cent were produced, played an important role in supplying coins to the western United States. The Denver Mint facility had already become known for producing high-quality coins with strong strikes and durable details. Millions of 1937 D wheat pennies were struck to meet the demands of commerce during a time when pennies were used constantly in everyday transactions. Because of the heavy circulation of coins during the 1930s, many 1937 D cents became worn over time, making well-preserved examples especially desirable among collectors today. The historical background of the 1937 D wheat penny makes the coin even more fascinating. America was still recovering from the Great Depression, one of the most difficult economic crises in the nation's history. Although conditions had improved somewhat by 1937, many families continued struggling financially. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal programs aimed to rebuild the economy through public works projects, banking reforms, and employment opportunities. Factories were operating again, businesses were reopening, and people were slowly regaining hope for the future. Coins like the 1937 D wheat penny circulated through stores, restaurants, factories, farms, and neighborhoods during this important rebuilding period in American history. The composition of the 1937 D Lincoln cent consisted of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This copper alloy gave the coin its bright reddish-orange appearance when newly minted. Over the decades, exposure to air, moisture, fingerprints, and circulation caused many coins to darken into brown shades. Collectors classify wheat pennies into 3 color categories: red, red-brown, and brown. Red examples retaining most of their original mint color are usually more valuable because copper coins are difficult to preserve in pristine condition for long periods. Brown coins, while more common, still carry historical charm and are appreciated for their age appearance. Condition is one of the most important factors affecting the value of a 1937 D wheat penny. Circulated examples often show smooth surfaces, worn details, and faded lettering because they pass through countless hands during daily commerce. Uncirculated examples, however, preserve the original mint luster and sharp detail created when the coin was first struck. Professional grading services carefully evaluate wheat pennies based on wear, strike quality, luster, and overall eye appeal. Even small differences in grade can lead to significant changes in value, especially for coins with strong red color and minimal imperfections. Collectors often study the strike quality of 1937 D cents because some examples display sharper details than others. Coins struck with fresh dies may show strong lines in Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat, while the wheat stalks on the reverse appear bold and detailed. Coins struck from worn dies may have softer details even if they experience little circulation wear. Well-struck examples with original mint luster are especially attractive to advanced numismatists. The 1937 D wheat penny is also interesting because of possible mint errors and varieties. Error coins can include off-center strikes, clip planches, die cracks, double dies, and lamination errors caused during the minting process. These unusual mistakes escaped into circulation and became collectible because of their rarity and uniqueness. Error coin collectors often search carefully through old wheat pennies, hoping to discover hidden treasures among ordinary-looking coin. The 1938 Lincoln wheat cent is one of the most interesting classic American coins for collectors and history lovers because it represents a time when the United States was slowly recovering from the Great Depression. This small copper coin may appear ordinary at first glance, but behind its simple design is a deep story connected to American history, economics, craftsmanship, and the daily lives of millions of people during the late 1930s. The coin carries a famous inscription, United States of America, E pluribus unum, 1 cent, liberty, and In God We Trust, all which symbolize the national identity and patriotic values of the country. The 1938 wheat penny was produced during a challenging era when many American families were struggling financially, yet the nation continued to move forward with hope and determination. Because of this historical background, collectors today admire the 1938 cent not only for its value but also for the powerful story it carries from the past. The obverse side of the 1938 Lincoln cent features a portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected presidents in American history. This design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner and first appeared in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The portrait shows Lincoln facing to the right with a calm and thoughtful expression. Above his head appears the phrase, In God We Trust, while the word liberty is placed on the left side, and the year 1938 appears on the right side. The design was revolutionary when it was first introduced because it was the first regular circulating United States coin to feature a real historical person instead of a symbolic figure. Americans quickly accepted the design, and it became one of the most iconic coins in United States history. Even decades later, collectors continue to appreciate the artistic beauty and simplicity of Brenner's work on the Lincoln cent series. The reverse side of the 1938 wheat penny contains a classic wheat ears design that gives the coin its popular nickname, the wheat cent. Two large wheat stalks curve along the left and right edges of the reverse, surrounding the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top appears a Latin motto, E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. The wheat ears symbolize prosperity, growth, and the agricultural strength of the United States during that era. This reverse design remained in use from 1909 until 1958, after which it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. Many collectors believe the wheat reverse gives the coin a classic and nostalgic appearance that modern pennies no longer possess. Because of this, wheat pennies remain among the most widely collected coins in the world today. The 1938 Lincoln wheat cent was struck at 3 different United States mint facilities. Coins without a mint mark were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, while coins with a D mint mark came from the Denver Mint and coins with an S mint mark were struck at the San Francisco Mint. Each mint produced different quantities of coins, which affects their rarity and collector value today. The Philadelphia Mint struck a very large number of cents in 1938 because pennies were heavily used in daily commerce across the country. Denver and San Francisco also produced millions of coins, though generally in smaller quantities than Philadelphia. Because of these production differences, collectors often study mintages carefully when building complete Lincoln wheat cent collections. One fascinating aspect of the 1938 wheat penny is its composition. The coin was made primarily from copper, containing 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This composition gave the coin its distinctive reddish-brown color when freshly minted. Over time, exposure to air, moisture, and handling caused many coins to darken into brown shades. Collectors often categorize Lincoln cents into three color groups: red, red-brown, and brown. Red coins retain most of their original mint color and are usually considered more valuable, especially in higher grades. Brown coins, while older in appearance, still hold strong historical appeal and can be very attractive depending on their condition. Coin grading plays a major role in determining the value of a 1938 wheat penny. A heavily worn example that circulated for many years may show faded details, smooth surfaces, and weaker lettering. Such coins are generally common and affordable. However, coins in higher grade with sharp details, strong luster, and minimal wear can become much more valuable. Uncirculated examples are especially desirable because they preserve the coin's original appearance from the year it was minted. Professional grading companies carefully examine coins under magnification to determine their condition, authenticity, and market value. Even small differences in grade can lead to significant price changes among collectors. During the late 1930s, pennies played an important role in everyday American life. A single cent had far greater purchasing power than it does today. People used pennies to buy small items, candy, newspapers, and other necessities. Because of this heavy circulation, millions of wheat pennies became worn through daily use. The fact that many 1938 cents survived in good condition is remarkable and shows how widely these coins were saved by collectors and ordinary citizens. Some people stored rolls of pennies as keepsakes, while others collected them from circulation because they admired the Lincoln design. Collectors are especially interested in mint eras and varieties associated with Lincoln wheat cents. While the 1938 series is not as famous for major varieties as some other years, era coins from this date can still attract strong interest. Examples may include off-center strikes. The 1939 Lincoln wheat cent is one of the most fascinating coins in American numismatic history because it represents a unique moment when the United States was standing on the edge of major world events while still recovering from the economic struggles of the Great Depression. This small copper coin, carrying the famous inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, 1 cent, Liberty, and In God We Trust, may appear simple in design, but it holds deep historical importance and collector appeal. By 1939, the Lincoln wheat cent had already become one of the most recognizable coins in the country, circulating through businesses, farms, factories, schools, and homes across America. Millions of Americans handled these pennies every day, using them in ordinary purchases during a time when even 1 cent still had meaningful buying power. Today, collectors treasure the 1939 wheat penny because it connects directly to a dramatic period of American and world history, while also representing one of the classic designs of United States coinage. The obverse of the 1939 Lincoln wheat penny features the legendary portrait of President Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln faces toward the right side of the coin with a dignified and thoughtful expression that symbolizes leadership and strength. Above his portrait appears the national motto, In God We Trust, while the word liberty is positioned on the left side, and the year 1939 appears on the right. Brenner's design was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and it quickly became one of the most beloved coin designs in American history. Before the Lincoln cent, most United States circulating coins featured symbolic figures rather than actual historical individuals. The Lincoln cent changed American coinage forever by honoring a real president whose legacy shaped the nation during one of its darkest periods, the Civil War. The reverse side of the 1939 wheat penny contains a famous wheat ears design that gave the coin its popular nickname, the wheat cent. Two detailed wheat stalks curve along the left and right edges of the reverse side, surrounding the words 1 cent and United States America. Above these inscriptions appears a Latin phrase, E Pluribus Unum, meaning out of many, one. The wheat ears symbolize agricultural prosperity and the strength of the American people. The reverse design remained in use from 1909 until 1958 and has become one of the most recognizable reverse designs in the history of United States coinage. Many collectors admire the balance and simplicity of the design, which combines patriotic symbolism with elegant artistic detail. The 1939 Lincoln wheat cent was minted at 3 major United States mint facilities. Coins produced in Philadelphia carried no mint mark, while coins struck at the Denver Mint displayed a small D mint mark below the date, and coins produced at the San Francisco Mint carried an S mint mark. Each mint produced millions of cents during the year, but the different mintages create varying levels of collector interest today. Philadelphia produced the largest number of 1939 cents, while Denver and San Francisco generally struck smaller quantities. Because of these differences, collectors often attempt to acquire all 3 mint varieties to complete a full 1939 set. One of the most important aspects of the 1939 wheat penny is its historical context. The year 1939 was a major turning point in world history because World War II officially began in Europe with the invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany. Although the United States had not yet entered the war, tensions around the world were growing rapidly. Americans were reading newspapers filled with international news, while also continuing to recover from the economic difficulties of the Great Depression. Coins minted during this period therefore represent a nation standing between hardship and transformation. Every 1939 wheat penny circulated through a society experiencing uncertainty, hope, industrial growth, and political change. The composition of the 1939 Lincoln cent was primarily copper, containing 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This copper composition gave newly minted coins a bright reddish-orange appearance. Over time, however, exposure to oxygen, moisture, and handling caused many coins to darken into shades of brown. Collectors classify these coins into 3 color categories: red, red-brown, and brown. Red examples that retain most of their original mint luster are especially valuable in high grades because they are much harder to preserve over long periods. Brown coins are more common but still appreciated for their historical authenticity and classic age appearance. Condition plays a major role in determining the value and desirability of a 1939 wheat penny. Coins that circulated heavily often display smooth surfaces, faded details, scratches, and worn lettering. These circulated examples are common and affordable for beginning collectors. However, uncirculated examples with sharp details and bright original luster are much more valuable. Professional grading services evaluate coins carefully based on wear, strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal. A single point difference in grade can dramatically affect a coin's market value, especially for coins with strong red coloration and minimal imperfections. Collectors also pay close attention to strike quality when studying 1939 wheat pennies. Some coins display sharper details than others depending on the condition of the dies used during production. Well-struck examples reveal crisp wheat lines, bold lettering, and strong details in Lincoln's hair and facial features. Coins with weak strikes may appear softer even if they experience little circulation wear. This makes grading and evaluating wheat pennies both challenging and fascinating for numismatists. The 1939 wheat penny is also associated with interesting mint errors and varieties that attract collector attention. Error coins may include double dies, off-center strikes, clip planches, die cracks, or lamination errors. These unusual coins occurred because of mechanical mistakes during the minting process. Error collectors search carefully through old wheat pennies, hoping to discover rare examples that escaped into circulation decades ago. While most 1939 cents are normal issues, error varieties. The 1945 Lincoln wheat cent is one of the most historically important coins in the entire wheat penny series because it was minted during the final year of World War II, a time when the United States and its allies were approaching victory after years of global conflict. This small 1-cent coin carries much more than monetary value. It represents sacrifice, national unity, industrial power, and the determination of millions of Americans who lived through one of the most dramatic periods in modern history. The inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, 1 cent, liberty, and in God we trust reflect the patriotic identity of the nation during wartime. Every 1945 wheat penny that circulated across America was part of daily life during a year filled with celebrations, challenges, and historic world-changing events. Today, collectors treasure the 1945 Lincoln cent not only because of its classic design, but also because it serves as a surviving artifact from the end of World War II. The obverse side of the 1945 wheat penny features a famous portrait of President Abraham Lincoln created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. Lincoln faces toward the right with a calm and dignified expression that symbolizes leadership and strength. Above his portrait appears a national motto, "In God We Trust," while the word liberty is located on the left side and the year 1945 appears on the right. Brenner's portrait was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and it became the first regular United States circulating coin to feature a real historical person instead of a symbolic figure. Americans immediately embraced the design because Lincoln was deeply respected as a president who preserved the Union during the Civil War and ended slavery. By 1945, the Lincoln cent had already become one of the most recognized and trusted coins in American commerce. The reverse side of the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny displays the classic wheat ears design that gave the coin its popular nickname, the wheat cent. Two large wheat stalks curve along the sides of the reverse, surrounding the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top appears the Latin motto E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. The wheat ears symbolize prosperity, agriculture, and the hard-working spirit of the American people. This reverse design remained in use from 1909 until 1958 before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. Many collectors believe the wheat reverse is one of the most beautiful and nostalgic designs ever used on American coinage because of its balanced layout and elegant simplicity. The 1945 wheat penny was minted at 3 major United States mint facilities. Coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint carry no mint mark, while Denver Mint coins display a small D beneath the date and San Francisco Mint coins carry an S mint mark. Each mint struck millions of coins to meet the demands of wartime commerce. Philadelphia generally produced the largest number of cents, while Denver and San Francisco minted smaller quantities. Collectors today often seek all 3 mint varieties to complete a full set of 1945 Lincoln cents. The year 1945 was one of the most important years in world history. World War II was reaching its conclusion, and Americans were closely following news from Europe and the Pacific. In May 1945, Germany surrendered, bringing victory in Europe, while the war against Japan ended later that year after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Millions of American soldiers were returning home. Factories were transitioning from military production back to civilian goods, and families across the country were celebrating peace after years of sacrifice and uncertainty. Every 1945 wheat penny circulated during this incredible historical period, making the coin a direct connection to the end of World War II. One interesting aspect of the 1945 Lincoln cent is its metallic composition. The coin was made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. During World War II, copper was considered a critical war material because it was needed for ammunition and military equipment. In 1943, the United States Mint temporarily produced steel cents coated with zinc to conserve copper for the war effort. However, by 1940, the mint returned to copper alloy cents, often using recycled shell casings from military ammunition. Because of this history, many collectors see the 1945 wheat penny as part of the wartime coinage story that reflects America's industrial and military efforts during World War II. Freshly minted 1945 wheat pennies displayed bright red-orange copper surfaces that glowed beautifully under light. Over time, however, oxidation and environmental exposure caused many coins to darken into brown shades. Collectors classify copper cents into 3 major color categories: red, red-brown, and brown. Red examples retaining original mint color are usually more valuable, especially in higher grades, because preserving copper coins in pristine condition for decades is extremely difficult. Brown coins are more common but still appreciated for their aged and historic appearance. Condition is one of the most important factors affecting the value of a 1945 wheat penny. Coins that circulated heavily often show worn details, faded lettering, scratches, and smooth surfaces. These circulated examples are common and affordable for beginner collectors. However, uncirculated examples with strong mint luster, sharp details, and minimal imperfections are far more desirable. Professional grading services evaluate coins using detailed grading scales that measure wear, strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal. A small difference in grade can dramatically increase the value of a wheat penny, especially when the coin retains its original red coloration. The strike quality of 1945 Lincoln cents also varies depending on the condition the die is used at the mint. Some examples display extremely sharp details in Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat, while others appear soft because of worn dies or production pressure differences. Collectors often study the wheat ears on the reverse because strong lines in the wheat stalks indicate a better strike. Well-struck coins with original luster are highly sought after by advanced numismatists.